Unless you are a top 1% player in the country, that's when the ACC schools, that's when the Big Ten schools, they're coming to you. That's when you're really kind of playing the hard to get with the coaches. If you are in that bottom 99%, which is almost everyone that's going to be listening to this podcast, the truth is getting recruited to college is getting harder and harder and harder. MLS Next is a 10-month season, and a lot of different teams will work so much more on development, especially at the older ages, rather than knowing how to win. College soccer is a 3-month season, whereas you need to get results right away.
How obsessed are you about football, and why do you think that's been important for you as a player and as a coach?
I was so obsessed with soccer that I was taking painkillers. I was lying to my coach to try to get back on time, and now I've had 5 surgeries.
What is kind of your hit-home advice to someone that would ask you, Owen, how do I get a college soccer offer?
It's very important that you're going to these coaches' ID camps and making sure that you're getting seen right in front of these coaches.
How do I get schools to reply to my email?
If you're not getting quite the feedback that you'd like or the looks that you'd like, I think it's really important that you reach out to other people that have been in this industry for a while.
Do I have to play MLS Next or ECNL to play Division 1?
I would say yes at this point in time. I wish that the answer was no.
What's the most common mistake you see in young players who want to play at the college level?
They are focused much less on the process, and they're so focused on the end goal of playing college soccer.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Select Generation podcast. Today, I'm really excited to speak to Owen. Actually, myself and Owen did a podcast, I didn't even know how long it was ago, probably about a year ago now, maybe even 2 years ago. And back then, I haven't actually listened to that episode in a while, but Owen was transitioning himself into coaching from playing. He's had a pretty successful playing background in the NCAA. Currently, Owen has his own private, well, I'll let him describe his kind of intro, but he does his own private training stuff. He's also an assistant coach at Emerson Soccer. He's fluent in English, Spanish, Portuguese, a lot of different languages, a lot of different backgrounds. I think this episode will be interesting because of Owen's perspective. Recently, I've been talking to a lot of internationals, specifically here in the UK and England, been kind of getting the English background. And I think a lot of our listeners from North America can really relate to Owen's story, Owen's journey, and his perspective on what it's going to take to be a successful, not just collegiate soccer player, professional soccer player, and really pathways after you finish high school. So first off, Owen, I just want to say thank you for your time. I know you're a busy man, but for the audience listening to this who don't really know who you are and why they can relate to your journey, what's your story?
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for having me on. I'm really excited. I wanted to come on for a while, and congratulations on all the success on your guys' end. It's been fantastic to follow that. So, brief background on myself. I grew up in Medford, Massachusetts, just outside of Boston. Played at the club level here and as well as the high school level. So, played for Bolts for quite a while. And then once I got to high school, I switched over to NEFC because I wanted to play at the high school level. And if at any point in the podcast you want to get into high school versus club, I have a lot of thoughts on that as well. Then from there, in 2017, I was a freshman at UMass Lowell. Kind of had a crazy journey there. We played, I was part of a team that was top 25 in the country, and I was also part of a team my senior year that had 4 wins. So I was really seeing the highest of highs in college soccer and the lowest of lows, and it was a great experience. So from there, shifted in 2022, I graduated, or in December of 2021. Went straight out to Spain, started working for a company called Iturre, which I'm sure a lot of people listening may have heard of, a gap year program out in Spain. So I was working for them for about 6 months. It was a great experience, just living abroad, coaching abroad. That's kind of where I started my coaching journey. From there, I was at BC. So I was the volunteer assistant coach there, where I actually worked with the goalkeepers, and I was not a goalkeeper. So it was definitely a great learning experience for me there. Also, just being on the sideline of ACC games was amazing. And then from there, I kind of shifted it into, I've been the assistant at Emerson College since 2023. And a lot of the work that I do is actually in the youth game. So I worked at the club IFA with quite a few different age groups since 2023 as well. And I actually recently stepped away just to focus on something that I started about a year ago called Flow Soccer. So Flow Soccer, it's a group training, group mentorship, clinics, college placement, all these different things that we do. Started it with my business partner, David, and it's been a crazy journey, but really enjoying it.
Amazing, Owen. I feel like you have a lot of different backgrounds that are really exciting quite early on in your kind of journey in football. I want to touch on, I'm sure that there'll be a lot of players listening to this that are like, oh my God, Owen's had so many experiences at different college. And the first question will be, well, the first question that I get a lot, I'm sure you get it. How do I get recruited to play college soccer? It's a question that I get a lot. Players that haven't started yet, that need help starting, players that are going through the process, who set up calls with coaches but don't get offers, and they have a lot of, yeah, the common question is, Sam, how do I get college soccer offers? So for someone that's worked at a lot of different colleges, been involved in soccer, you obviously grew up knowing the American system, you're in the college system now. What is kind of your hit home advice to someone that would ask you, Owen, how do I get a college soccer offer?
Yeah, so it really depends on which division you're looking to play at, right? And there's obviously three divisions. Division two, it's a lot more limited. There's much less schools when it comes to Division two. But let's say if you're really, you should start to identify and start to talk to the mentors in your life, whether it's coaches, whether it's people that have played. When you're a freshman slash sophomore in high school, it's like, am I a Division one player or am I a Division three player? If you're a Division one player, the truth is that you're going to be ideally playing for a club that's going to a lot of showcases, right? So if you're playing at the MLS Next or ECNL level, you're going to be going to Flex, you're going to be going to ECNL playoffs, you're going to be going to Fest, you're going to all these different things, and because of that, you're going to naturally get a lot of exposure to Division one and top Division three schools. So if you are kind of identifying yourself as that like top five kind of D3 school in the country or a Division one player, you have to be playing for an elite club that's going to showcases. It's just the reality. And not only with that, you need to be constantly updating your highlights, constantly getting film, constantly reaching out and identifying kind of what schools that you're interested in. And when you're going to these showcases, reaching out to these colleges ahead of time and trying to make something specific to their school when you're reaching out to them. Like if I'm reaching out to UNH, I want to be saying that I really like Durham, New Hampshire, something along those lines, so the coach knows that you're reaching out to them specifically. If you're Division three, it's a bit different, right? And the truth is, Division three coaches have a little bit less of a recruiting budget. They're not necessarily able to go out on these. I mean, they're able to go to some of these events, but they might not be able to hit all of them. So if I'm the coach at a top Division three school and I'm going to MLS Next Flex, but I'm not able to quite put that in my budget for ECNL playoffs, it's very important that you're going to these coaches' ID camps. I know the stereotype is that a lot of these ID camps can be money grabs, but the truth is for D3, that's how they identify most of their talent. So I think if you're a Division three player, you want to play at those top D3 schools, really going to these ID camps and making sure that you're getting seen right in front of these coaches.
What happens if I hear all of your advice and I think, wow, that is a lot of work. I'm a good enough footballer. I'm a good enough soccer player. The coaches are going to come and find me.
Unfortunately, the reality is unless you are a top 1% player in the country, that's when the ACC schools, that's when the Big Ten schools, they're coming to you. That's when you're really kind of playing the hard to get with the coaches. If you are in that bottom 99%, which is almost everyone that's going to be listening to this podcast, the truth is getting recruited to college is getting harder and harder and harder, right? Because of things like the transfer portal, coaches are having to work double. You're really having there's so many different networks and agencies and ways to get recruited. These coaches are getting, even at the Division three level, they're getting hundreds of emails a day. So the truth is, unless you are already playing maybe for an MLS academy or you've gotten looks from the Wake Forest of the world at right when you turn as a junior in high school, it's going to be really difficult if you're not putting in that extra work to get recruited.
I email 20 schools per week and no one ever replies to me. How do I get schools to reply to my email?
It's a great question. So I think so. There's a few things here, and I get a lot of questions from players often when they'll say like, "Hey, I was talking to this coach and he just stopped texting me or he just stopped emailing me," and it's like, okay. I think that a lot of times, I don't think that as someone who's now coached in the college world, I don't think kids have an idea of how much work these coaches are doing and how many emails they're getting, right? So I even remember as a player myself, I would take it personal. Like, why did this school stop responding to me? And it's like, well, maybe because they had like 150 other people reach out to them. Um, so the truth is, if you're not getting responses, I think it's really important to try to use your contacts, right? So and not in an unhealthy way at all. But if I'm playing for a top MLS Next club, right, and my coach is he used to play at a top Division one school or a Division three school, he's going to be connected, right? So if you're emailing over and over and over, the coaches probably very, very well, they might just miss that email. But if you're able to reach out to your coach and say, hey, can you help me at least just see if this coach is interested? Or, getting in contact with other people like yourself, like people that work in this industry that have good connections with these coaches. The truth is connections can only get you so far. And when someone like us have connections, it's not to convince a coach to get a player. It's more to just get that coach exposed, right? You have to be good enough of a player yourself. So if you're not getting quite the feedback that you'd like, or the looks that you'd like, I think it's really important that that you reach out to other people that have been in this industry for a while.
Do I have to play MLS Next or ECNL to play Division One?
I would say yes at this point in time. I wish that the answer was no. I mean, potentially you could be playing MLS two if you're also playing for a prep school and depending on the club. But the reality is Division One, and you know this, we both played for Division One schools that were heavily international. It's getting even more and more international, right? You look at the national championship last year, Marshall versus Vermont. I don't know how many players on the field were international, but it was definitely the majority of them. So if I'm a Division One coach and I can only take maybe 8 kids that are going to be domestic, that are going to be American players, I have limited time here. I want to be flying out to Iceland to look at players. Okay. I'm my other time, I got to be going to MLS Next Flex. I got to be going to ECNL. The truth is I coached an NAL team last year and we had, I think, probably 5 players or so that could have played at the Division One level, but they weren't quite getting the looks that they should have. And it's because they weren't playing MLS Next. And it is just the unfortunate reality.
Completely agree. If I am listening to this and I feel a bit disheartened, because one of the reasons why we started Select Generation, and probably you can attest to this with what you're doing, is there are different pathways than just Division One, of course. It's amazing that players have goals and they want to play Division One. I hope that that's your goal if you want to be a serious footballer. But there are different pathways for you, and I think players kind of neglect, right? They just do email just Division One schools, and then they get to their senior year, and then they start reaching out to JUCO, NAIA, D2, D3, and by that point, all those schools have already recruited their domestic class coming in. So my question to you is, if a player is, I think if you're in your senior year of high school, is well, let's talk about that. If you're in your senior year of high school and you don't have any offers, I would suggest you that you could still email Division One, but probably there's a reason why you haven't got any Division One offers. If I'm a senior going into my senior year, and I don't have any college soccer offers, how do I pivot to D2, D3, JUCO, NAIA?
Yeah, it's true. It's that's definitely a tricky one where I think that it's very important. I mean, think about when if you're at a school, right? If you're at a high school, any public high school, private high school, you're going to have a college counselor within the school outside of soccer, and they're going to be telling you you need safety schools, right? And I think when it comes to soccer, we don't do that. Okay, I want to go to Clemson, Wake Forest, Duke, and then you comes to your senior year, you don't have any of those offers. You go, okay, maybe I need to pivot to a school at a lower conference. It's like, no, at that point, they're even gone at that point, right? So I think that if you're a senior and you don't quite have I'd actually say that right now is a better time than it would be 5 years ago for this specific situation because of the transfer portal. Division three, Division two, and NAIA schools are leaving a couple windows open for later on. So if it's if I'm a NESCAC school, right? Back in the day, or back in like maybe 5 years ago, I'm done with recruiting July 1st of that player's senior year. But now, because of the transfer portal, they are leaving probably 3 or 4 spots open by the time that May comes around, all these kind of things. So if you are in that spot, I think you need to realize like, okay, where am I going to be going to a school where I'm going to make an impact? Am I just going to be riding the bench at a D1 school, or am I actually going to be making an impact at a D2, D3 NAIA school? And from there, I think it's really time to start identifying what you want in a school rather than what you want in the division. Do I want a school with these academics? Can I afford the school? Is it going to be a social fit? And is it going to be an athletic fit? And once you identify those 4 pillars, it's a lot easier to then reach out to those schools.
So you're an assistant coach at Owen. You're an assistant coach, Owen, at Emerson, and let's say that you get 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 emails a day. When you are logging on and when you reply to a player, what makes you be like, okay, I like this player? Is it video? Is it the subject line even in the first place to get you to open it? Is it the time of the day that they email you? Like when you are recruiting and kind of going through your emails, because there'll be a lot of players listening to this, like, yeah, I just want to know, like, from a college coach's point of view, when he sees an email, what makes him reply? What will make you reply to set up a call with that player?
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's a variety of the things that you mentioned. I think one of them is definitely is the video itself, right? So I think that that's the biggest thing. Like, is the video showing that this player will be able to play in a collegiate setting in this conference? For Emerson, for example, they coach in we play in the NUMAC. At BC, it was in the ACC. And so it's not like, okay, is this player decent? It's like, no, is this player able to hang and play and actually make an impact at this? When you see,
Interesting. I
yeah,
want to talk about the highlight video because
sure,
I talk about this a lot. If you have a highlight video where you are tackling the goalkeeper and scoring, you might think, great, because that's a goal in my video, but I do not want to see that because it means you're playing at a low level. If you are playing on a grass pitch with potholes and you're dribbling the whole team, I'm questioning,
right.
like, is this player good? Even if you have like simple passes, but you're playing in a stadium and it looks legit with the MLS Next banner or ECNL or just a club that I know, I'm like, okay, even though it's a simple pass on a highlight video, like I can respect the level. So when you're watching a highlight video, what's making you be like, okay, this is legit?
A good question. I think that is definitely like I've struggled with that for sure, where you have to look at like, okay, what is the competition that they're playing at? Even I do think sometimes like because of the geography of the player, like if they're from Maine and they can't play MLS Next, you'll be seeing highlight tapes and you're like, well, who's this guy playing against? But at the same time, if you can see glimpses of like, oh, there's something there that I need to look further into. Like I would never, as a college coach, say something along the line, okay, I'll take this kid right away once off a highlight tape, right? But I think that if you see glimpses of things like that that can translate to the game, then I think it's like, okay, there's something interesting here. But to your point, often the truth is like, once again, if I'm just going to try to give a club that's if someone's playing for Sporting Kansas City Academy and they're like kind of sharp in their highlight tape, but I mean, you don't see that much, but you're like, okay, if they're on this team, it's clearly there's clearly something that there's something there. It definitely depends, but I think that the truth is, and this is every college coach will say this as well, you have to show some signs of athleticism in your highlight tape. Players,
What does being athletic mean? What does athleticism mean?
great question. It's actually not. It's such a misunderstanding that athleticism just means someone who's fast and strong and big, right? Look at, I saw an interview recently with Vitinha at PSG. He was talking about how like, oh, I was less athletic than players, and so because of that, I had to be good with the ball. It's like, no, Vitinha is extremely athletic. The way he can quickly turn, the way he can drive with the ball, the fact that he can play 90 minutes a game, the fact that you cannot push him off the ball. Athleticism doesn't necessarily equal a dama triore. It means you're able to move. Your first step is quick, right? You're able to move side to side. You're able to get stuck in on 50-50s, right? Can you win these 50-50 challenges? Um, is there some pace, right? Is there some, like, for example, if you're a center back and they can see that you're moving slowly with the ball, your hips are turning slowly, things like that. Uh, Things like that, that will maybe lead to a person being like, okay, well, how will they deal with, a 6'3" striker who's was also a track athlete in high school, right? So I think athleticism can be misconstrued with size and speed. It's not just that. It's how quickly can you move the ball? How quickly can you shift your hips? How quickly can a quick midfielder who's running at you, can you shift side to side to be able to stop that? Can you get up in the air and win your 50-50s? And that is something that I think people need to understand that the collegiate game, the professional game, if you're not athletic, if you can't run, if you can't get stuck in, if you're going to get body off the ball, you're not going to survive.
And I want to touch on because a lot of the players will be like, oh, I don't have a good highlight video, so I need to go to a camp. Or when I send my video to a coach, he says, come to our camp. And I think camps is an important topic to speak about because there are a lot of players who send the video, hey, come to our camp, right? And they always tell me, like, Sam, I got this camp invite. Is it legit or what? And my advice is always to say, reply to the coach when you get the camp invite and say, thanks, coach. What did you like about my film? Or what stood out to me, right? Because if you just sign up to the camp blindly, of course, you have no idea if he's interested in you. You have no rapport, nothing. But if you can,
Right.
if you reply to the coach, hey coach, why did you invite me to this camp? What do you like about my video? He's going to either tell you, oh, I like it in 1 minute 30 when you score a goal, top bins. I want to see that at the camp. Or he's just going to say, well, I like the way you play, but I'd rather see you in person. Probably then he's not that interested in you. So if I email you, Owen, and you just send, come to our camp, what do I do? Do I go to the camp or what do I do?
It's a great question. I think it actually very much depends on the division. And maybe this is controversial to be saying this. I think often with the Division 1 level, especially at some of those bigger schools, like I'm not going to mention any names, but I have gone to a camp where the head coach was there for one of the days, right? So the truth is, when it comes to Division three, in order I think what you said is absolutely true. I think if they're able to mention something like, hey, I was at Surf Cup yesterday and I saw you and I really liked the way that you turned in tight spaces. We do have a couple different camps. Let me know if you'd be interested and if you'd want to get on a call. Things like that, it's like, oh, that's legitimate interest. When you reach out to them and it's almost like it's an automatic reply where they say, hey, come to this camp. That's when I'd be a little bit skeptical. Now, at the same time, I think it's important I went to two Division One camps, and I got offers from both of those schools. So I think that it is important to know that like if you back yourself as a player and you have mentors and people in your life that can be honest with you and tell you like if I have a kid who's playing for one of my club teams who's just simply not good enough, he gets an email from Clemson and says, "Hey, come to the camp." I'm going to say, "You're wasting your time," right? But if you're truly good enough and think that you can prove yourself at these camps, the same time, they're not just money grabs. The coaches are there. They're able to watch you. So I think it's really important, like you said, if there's specific information about the player, then it's clearly some interest and it's not just a money grab.
So I want to talk about flow because I have been seeing what you guys are doing and I think it's really interesting. And I know you individually are a good one of the good people in football. And I want to know, Owen, for the viewer listening to this, there are a lot of private training companies, recruiting services, mentorship agencies, etc. Everyone gets emails from, I won't name one specific company, but everyone gets blasted by them. And you don't know who to trust in this industry in terms of like going to college. Like, why should I trust this person? Why should I trust this company? What are they about? What are they trying to get from me? It's expensive, etc. So with Flow, what is your mission and why are you different to other training or mentorship services?
It's a great question. I think it's simple, and it's the reason we started it in the first place, is we want players to enjoy playing football. And that is the biggest thing. And so we don't want you to see myself or Coach David as just a transaction that can get you to some place. If we can get you to play in college, great. If we can get you to play at this club, if we can get you to play at that high school, great. But the reason we started this in the first place is we see that soccer can be a vehicle for change, and it can be a space in your life where you are creating incredible relationships, you are expressing yourself on the field, you are learning a lot, you are dealing with adversity, and we want to create a space where people are, of course, improving as players significantly, but enjoying what they're doing. Now, enjoying it doesn't mean that we get to the field and we're just messing around at any of that kind of stuff. We're extremely intentional about what we're doing. But we're also very passionate about, like you mentioned, and I appreciate you saying this, I feel the same about you, having good people in football. These people, these kids, these young men, they need good mentors in their life. They need good people, good coaches, people that they can look up to and learn from. And I think that the biggest reason and what we do is that we truly care about our players. We want our players to reach their goals on and off the field. And when we're with them, that 90 minutes that we're with you, I don't care what you take from it, whether we're working on receiving on the half turn, whether we're working on training in tight spaces, running in behind, whatever it may be. I want those 90 minutes to be an escape from whatever else is going on in your life. And so the reason that what makes us different from all these other, hopefully all these other agencies and training programs and all these different things is that we really just want we care so much about the kids, we care so much about our players.
Why that there are I noticed after I graduated that there it felt like one of my friends or someone I knew was setting up a recruiting agency every other week and then they post for a week, a month, 2 months, and then they stop. Why do you think that you've been successful over a long period of time? And why do you think that you'll have this consistently as a long-term project?
Yeah, I mean, I remember I saw you have Brando from Wi-Fi YFC on, and you talked about work-life balance. And I saw the clip, like, and he kind of laughed when you were like, "What do you think?" He laughed. Um, Honestly, I've had no work-life balance these past 3 years since I graduated. Like, I have worked from 70 to 80 hours a week and not made a lot of money. And the reason for that is because I wanted to bring success to what I'm doing. And so I think that with time, as it goes on, the reason I found success is because I've worked at weird hours. I have sacrificed a lot financially. And like I said, I really care about the kid. So if a kid is telling me he wants to go to this school, and I don't necessarily think he'll love the coach there or love the environment there. I'm going to be fully honest with him, and I'm going to do everything I can to help him get to this school. And on top of that, I realize that I'm a coach, that I'm a nerd when it comes to coaching. I'm a nerd when it comes to tactics, soccer, all that kind of stuff. But I also know that I'm always going to be learning. I just turned 26. I think for the next 40 years of my life, I'm going to be learning about the game. And because of that, I'm always trying to find the best way that I can create a drill, create an environment that's going to be game specific and helping these players. And so, because of that, players have been able to find a lot of success. I've gotten so many texts recently of kids that are thriving in their high school, college, MLS next season saying, like, this summer helped me so much. And so, I think that I once listened to something when it comes to trainers. Are you trying to improve them or are you trying to impress them? And we are trying to improve the players. The other day, I was working with a kid. He was a center back, and I was just clipping the ball into him as a right center back and working on him getting the ball out of the air, driving and playing it. It's not sexy. It's not going to look good on Instagram. But I wasn't trying to impress him. I'm just trying to improve him. And I think that when you do your training with that mindset, the players get better and they enjoy it as well.
Are you obsessed with football? And I know the answer is yes. So I'll say, why or how obsessed are you with football, and how important do you think it is to be obsessed? And I ask you that because the more and more I speak to people involved in football, especially here in England, you realize that like it's people's lives. And I feel like in the US, a lot of the mentality is like football is a status symbol, right? Like my son plays soccer at this school, at this team, so I'm really proud of him. I go and take my grapes and the oranges to the game. Great, amazing. Not all parents, obviously. But I feel like soccer in the US's mentality is like, okay, I want to play in college so I can have it on my Instagram. Whereas here in England and the rest of the world, it's like you play soccer because that's your life and that's what you grew up. So my question to you, Owen, is why are you or how obsessed are you about football? And why do you think that's been important for you as a player and as a coach?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm absolutely obsessed with it. It's people ask my hobby. I go, well, I physically can't play soccer anymore. I've had 5 surgeries. And they go, okay, what else do you like to do? I like to watch soccer. Okay, what else? I like to coach soccer. I like to analyze it. I'm constantly thinking about it. And to a degree, I think as a player, I think it is important to be, rather than obsessed, to be in love with it, because obsessed can be something that's unhealthy. And so the second that you can be obsessed with things in your life that actually can harm you. And I think if soccer becomes that, it can turn into what it was like for me. I was so obsessed with soccer that I was taking painkillers. I was lying to my coach to try to get back on time. And now I've had 5 surgeries, and it's really, I think I was too obsessed with it. I realized that came when I started to actually fall out of love with it and turn the love into an obsession. So for now, I've kind of reframed it to I love soccer. I love it. I love everything about it. I love the culture of professional soccer, especially out in Europe. I love the lessons that soccer teaches you. I love youth development and how at 8 years old you need to be training significantly differently than you need to be doing at 14 years old. So I think that if you're a player, you need to be in love with soccer. You don't need to be obsessed with it. When you're obsessed with it, it actually can ruin your life. And you look at someone like if we look in like basketball sense, you look at one of the best basketball players in the world is Jokic right now. He loves basketball, but he's not obsessed with it. And because he's not obsessed with it, I think he actually plays better. And I think the same can be for soccer. You should be training all the time. You should be analyzing your film, but you should also be enjoying it. And the second you're not enjoying it, you need to start looking in the mirror and saying, what can I do? Is it my environment? Is it my approach to change my mindset on that?
Interesting. I never heard that before. You need to be loved, not obsessed. That's a really good one. I completely understand. I think if I was like, okay, I really just listen to Owen. I really like what he's doing. But private training, I'm not sure if I need private training because I have my club teams, I have my club practices. Why do you think your players find success with individual training, right? Because I think that obviously, if you have an individual trainer, it's probably because in your team setting, it's all tactical in its shape, and you need to be working on receiving in the half turn, right? Specific things. But how important is it, do you think, to have a private trainer, and why do players need it?
Yeah, so I think that kind of there's two services that we offer where one is the kind of we have group trainings where they're similar to club, but we do try to make things a little bit different, which we can talk about at a different time. But in regards to having an individual and private trainer, I didn't have one as a player, right? And I don't think that I think that it should absolutely be supplemental. It shouldn't be the only thing that you're doing because soccer is a game played with 22 people in the field. That being said, if you go to your club training, you have an hour and a half of training. If you are a forward, let's say, maybe you're shooting 4 times in front of goal. Especially with how in club soccer you'll get maybe a fifth of the field, a quarter of the field. If you are a center back, right? How often are you really getting stuck in on a 50-50? How often is the ball is the ball getting cleared and you have to deal with the ball over your head, right? And there's a striker running your back in training, maybe twice a training. If you do an hour-long training with us, we're gonna get probably 100 reps of that, right? And so we say that like once you're training these repetitions, you're gonna have confidence in the field. And so the thing with private training, I think what makes us different is that I don't think people understand with basketball, private training is a big part of the industry. And it's because there's less people on the court and there's a lot less different situations that you're going to be in. You're often in one-on-one situations. You're often in a much smaller space. With soccer as a center back, uh, you can often be, the six is bouncing it back to you and you're pinging a one-time diagonal out to the opposite fullback. You're also at the same time, you are working on defending in the box and not turning your back. And trying to get as big as possible without getting megged, things like that. Like there's so many different situations that you're working on. So I think when you work in these private trainings, you're really able to identify your weaknesses, areas in the game that you need to improve on, and just sharpen those up that I don't think you'll get in a standard group training.
How important is private training, video analysis, and going to the gym? Because let's say that your team trains right and they don't give you any homework or everything you do outside of that is on you. And from my perspective, there's three important things. There's having like going and doing ball work, ball mastery, or private training, watching video analysis, watching film, trying to get better, and then there is going to the gym. How do you balance all of those three outside team training?
Yeah, the truth is you need to realize in life what is going to be taken away from doing all those extra things. Everything that you said is extremely important. And we all have lives. We have families, we have school, we have whatever it may be in life. So it's like, okay, well, how am I able to balance all of these? Well, the truth is, what is your screen time? Right? Like how many hours a day are you on Instagram? Uh, what is your diet? What are things that are potentially, what does your sleep look like? Right? If you're going to sleep and you're on your phone until 1 a.m. and you have school the next day, you're not going to go to the gym before, right? So gym, extremely important. Video analysis, gym is extremely important. Okay. I think that there's a lot of debate in the soccer world right now on what type of training you should do. I have my opinions, but I'm not an expert in that. Video analysis, extremely important, right? When you watch video, and especially when you do it with someone who's trained in that area and has done thousands of hours of video analysis, you see the game completely differently. As a coach, I see the game completely differently. I've been doing presentations on Thursday nights on different things tactically, and I'm learning a ton myself from it. And then what was the other one?
Video analysis, going to the gym, and then yeah, private training.
Private training. Yes, exactly. You need to be finding time, even if it's once a week, even if it's once every 2 weeks, on top of what you're doing with your club, with your high school, whatever it may be, to be working on things that are going to be specific to you.
What's the most common mistake you see in young players who want to play at the college level?
Let me think about that one for a second. I know it. They are focused much less on the process and they're so focused on the end goal of playing college soccer. So if you are a sophomore in high school and you go, I want to play college soccer, and everything you do is just a transaction for that. So you're playing with your friends or you're playing one game, you go, oh, damn it, we didn't get that game on video. It's like, yeah, but you actually played really well and you improved as a player. I think that often people are so obsessed with trying to play college soccer that they actually lose some of the most important and enjoyable years of high school soccer. So from age maybe 15 to 18, I'm so focused on getting recruited. I don't care as much about winning. I don't care as much about spending time with some of the closest people in my life. I care so much more about, oh, I just had an amazing game. Oh, but crap. James Madison wasn't at that game. Like these guys weren't at that game. It's like, yeah, but you had an amazing game and you won with your team. And so I think it's important to have long-term goals, but you need to enjoy the process much more because the paradox is that when you're looking so far into the future, when you're looking so far into to focusing on just getting that offer, like you said, posting that on Instagram, you actually play worse than if you're just enjoying the moment and enjoying the process in that exact moment.
What is a controversial topic about the college soccer process or US youth soccer that you feel strongly about?
The biggest thing is that we're training for a different game. So MLS Next, and now that I'm out of the club game, I can say this with confidence. MLS Next is a 10-month season, and a lot of different teams will work so much more on development, especially at the older ages, rather than knowing how to win. College soccer is a 3-month season where you need to get results right away. And when you look I love the idea of a 10-month season where it's focused on much more playing to feet, so much on tactics, on all these different kind of things. But then the final goal for that should be to then play professional because that's how it is in Europe. You're European, you get it. I lived in Spain for a bit. If you are playing in the seventh division of youth and your team has a first team, and so your goal is to finally make it to that first team, and you're training just like that first team does. Here, you're playing for 10 months, trying to play for a thing that plays in 3 months. In 10 months for MLS Next, you have limited substitutions. You go to college, you don't have limited substitutions. You played at a school where, unfortunately, I had to play against you guys, and you would have MLS draft picks coming off the bench to just press the hell out of me for 20 minutes. You don't get that in MLS Next, right? Because you can't re-enter. So it is a different game. We're preparing our players for a different game than what they're going to play.
How do we solve that?
I don't know the answer to that. I've been I wish I could.
Not how do we solve that? I think that's a big question. But for a player listening to that thinks that's a big problem for them, how specifically as a player do you solve that for your own career and development?
Yeah. I think I think being much more of a competitor is something that isn't taught nowadays. I think that there's no stakes when it comes to MLS Next. You're not going to get relegated. You've seen it in Europe. You get relegated even at U14. Your team will get relegated. So there's a lot less passion when it comes to club soccer now. So I think as a player, asking yourself, how can I be the most competitive player on the field? Am I encouraging my teammates? Am I getting stuck in on every single 50-50? Am I winning every single one of my 50-50s? Challenging for every single one of my 50-50s? Um, am I taking it to the corner with 2 minutes left in the game when I'm up 1-0? You should be, right? That's how you win games. Am I doing everything I can to win? Stop thinking so much about am I doing everything to get recruited, but am I doing everything I can to win? Because at the end of the day, you are going to a 4-year, 3-month season where all that matters is winning. Doesn't matter what your parents think. It doesn't matter the style that you play. It doesn't matter how long it takes for a coach to teach these tactics. You need to win and you need to win now.
Yeah. Owen, we've got 2 minutes left. The last thing I want to ask you for, the question I usually ask is what advice would you give to a 16-year-old? But I think you've give a lot of amazing, amazing advice. So what I'll ask you just quickly is because I feel like you feel similar to me about this question. What are you most grateful for that football has given you?
Oh, it's amazing. Um, There's so much. I mean, it's allowed me to travel the world. It's allowed me to learn what adversity is. But I think the most important thing is the people in my life. My closest friends are through soccer, football. My greatest mentors in my life are through football, and now I am a mentor to other people. And I think that because of that, that is what has brought me the most.
Amazing. I couldn't agree more. I think that football, of course, it's a game and you want to win, but I think as you get older and you kind of realize, okay, maybe if you're not at the pro level, you realize the relationship, even if you don't get to play college soccer. Like I speak to a lot of my friends who I went to college with, and they grew up playing with these guys and fighting and competing and traveling to tournaments and stuff. Like I think a lot of players take it for granted. And even if you play junior college, D3, NAA, it doesn't mean that you're worse than the Division One player. You know, you need to be grateful for these opportunities. And football has like given me so much, like the relationships like us now we met through football. Like I don't think people realize when they graduate college and they go into an office and it's like, oh, what are you guys connecting on? What you did at the weekend? Oh, I support this soccer club. Oh, I'm actually a Chelsea fan. Oh, I went to Liverpool and watched the game, you know, like all of these little things later down the line
Yeah.
that you are grateful for. But Owen, I just want to say thank you so much. I really love what you're
Absolutely.
doing, and that was an amazing conversation. I'm going to send it to everyone when we get released.
Appreciate it. Top man,
Cheers,
Sam. We'll
Owen.
talk soon.